Welcome, everybody, and happy Friday. This is Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, as always, looking nice there in kind of a dusky little bar, although he's not actually there, right, folks. Don't worry, Andy's not. Well, maybe he did have a Bloody Mary.
I
It's
didn't.
Friday. It's unclear.
I didn't go to the bar today. I thought about walking down to the bar, but I had to put together an article, so I didn't do it. Yes, good call. Alex is officially on fire with tennis picks. We'll bring that up later. Some sad news about tennis. And
There was
spoiler
something that wasn't so great.
Yeah, not so great how we won, but it didn't turn out so great. So real quick, one last time for the week, get your $500 risk-free bet when you sign up for title sponsor WinBet. You can sign up in numerous states now. In fact, it's $1,000 free bet. I just put up another article explaining the math behind expected value and why you take a free bet or a risk-free bet and you plop that thing down on like a 10,000 to 1 because they'll let you. It's silly. So look for that. I have that up at BetSperts right now. But before we get too deep into the episode, and just because I can't pick my nose in college basketball right now, although I will say, I said all these lines are like super tight. I didn't have very many edges. I didn't want to bet any NIT. And I think like 3 of these favorites cover or won, but did not cover by like 1.5. The total that I kind of like went over by the hook. A lot of those games were really closely lined. And honestly, I'm glad I didn't get involved. So kudos to me for not being dumb, but we will be bringing in this is probably second or third time. God knows how many times he's been on. Frank Marink featured. He was featured
That's
by
right,
a
folks.
pretty big account yesterday. He's a random college athlete, and he's from Elite Sports Betting. I'm having trouble keeping straight.
Looks about as excited about baseball as I usually do.
Yeah, this is the face you make. Pizzola pointed out. This is the face you make after an 0-5 day. But Frank, how we doing? Sorry, I had to use that. It was just lovely seeing you all over Twitter yesterday.
I know that you must have been the submission just for this. Like you submitted it, then I'm on there, and now you have me on. I feel like you're taking advantage of my newfound fame.
It's called creating buzz, Frank, and it's what we do here.
I have friends if you can't take advantage of it.
Yeah, I gained like probably a good 30 followers yesterday.
Just from like this guy's name rhyme, I'm gonna follow.
There's people no way that that this guy actually exists, and I did, and I started responding to some of the things you were sending me and gained some followers along the way. The point you brought up to me, the Thurman Merman reply was hands down the best one.
Yeah, because he didn't even caption it. He just put a picture of Thurman Merman from Bad Santa, which was funny. So
when that movie came out, it was my dad's favorite, and I understand why now. It was just perfect.
Because he got the joke.
Yeah.
Frank, you're a big baseball bettor. You've got a lot on deck. You've got a lot on your hands here soon. I'm sure you're super busy with that, but we're closing up the basketball season. I don't even want to talk baseball. I did already this week. That was enough. My head's spinning. There's so many advanced stats in baseball that it hurts my brain. Basketball's a little easier for me to get. So we do have the Sweet 16 this weekend. I don't know if you've put any plays in or you have any action or any thoughts. I should go back and look. I did articles for each region and picked my Sweet 16. And then, I filled out like 15 brackets too, and a lot of those are different. So I'm going to have to go and look how like my actual public facing bracket that I put in those articles did. I sure shit didn't have Oral Roberts in. So I know I'm probably 15 for 16, honestly. I think I had Illinois moving on. So, any thoughts? Are you I just said before I got you on too, like those NIT lines were so tight. Is that kind of what we're going to run into once we get this deep in a tournament?
Yeah, I think so. I do think there are overreactions at times. I think you see this in a lot of sports, or you talked about baseball. Maybe a pitcher that's had a couple of good starts, but maybe his indicators aren't so good. We're seeing that, I think, a little bit here with like Oral Roberts and Syracuse. The runs they've gone on have been impressive, but I feel like if we played these games 3 weeks ago, these lines are a good 2 or 3 points in the other direction, which is kind of where I have them. Now, I'm not one to play spreads unless it's a slow day or I don't really trust certain matchups or things like that. With this Oral Roberts game, this is their best matchup so far. I mean, the other teams they've played have had two big men that are leading and that could have, EJ Liddell just really took advantage of them down the stretch. Ohio State realized, hey, we're not making any shots. We can get free layups all game. And they did that. But this team twice at the end of games has gotten hot and sort of took that one from Ohio State by getting hot. And it benefits them having 2 or 3, 90% free throw shooters. That helps. But this Arkansas game, Arkansas, like them, is incredibly undersized, right? It's sort of like this Arkansas team reminds me of like when the Warriors are playing Draymond at the 5, like this team has the ability to do that, and they have great passing big men between Smith and Williams in the low block. But from a matchup perspective, they're not going to be able to just use their size to take advantage of them like Florida did, like EJ Liddell did for Ohio State. So this is, I made this game like 14, but I'm hesitant just because this is the best matchup so far for Oral Roberts. And on the Syracuse side, for the last month of Syracuse basketball, teams have shot 30% against them. The zone is a hard thing to master for some teams, but this is getting ridiculous at this point. And they're shooting the lights out, and they do have good shooters, but eventually this thing has to come to an end. Houston has one of the best defenses, maybe the best perimeter defense in basketball. I could see them really shutting down the two guys from Syracuse, Boeheim, and what's the other kid's name? I can't remember.
Doesn't matter what the other kid's name is. Buddy
Bucket.
It's the Buddy Bucket show. They all look. All the Syracuse kids just look like kids that didn't make it into Duke.
Yeah,
they have the exact same look.
And the other white kid, I think Houston. I could see that. I had this game like 9. I'm not sure what we're seeing here with Syracuse, other than like we're getting infatuated with Boeheim in the tournament, and I just don't really believe in those sorts of things.
There's probably a bunch of public money coming in on them, given that they made the Sweet 16. And like you said, it's Boeheim and March. People have been watching the zone, listen to Rafferty go over and over again. It's time.
Yeah, and we saw this with Michigan State even in the first round. Like they had a nice little run there, but that team was pathetic all year. You could make an argument that they shouldn't even been in the tournament. They wouldn't have been in the tournament if they didn't win that last regular season game against Michigan, and then they get rolled by UCLA. And it's like, well, that's not that surprising because the team stinks. So if Syracuse were to get rolled and they don't make 50% of their threes, and Houston doesn't shoot 30%, albeit Houston offense didn't look good in the last game, but that's going to happen at times. I just trust Houston more than the Syracuse team that basically depends on making a bunch of threes and the other team making nothing. And there's close games. So I would say that Houston is that number there is just a little bit short for me. But same thing with Arkansas. I just don't trust the matchup in the Arkansas game.
Yeah, it was like the game plan that Syracuse had, and granted, yes, a lot of it was the fact that their defense was playing well, but like just the game plan apparently was the other team's brains fall out before the game and they forget completely how to basketball. Like they would just, it's like they didn't figure out what was going on. Like, oh my God, the shot clock, let's just huck one up now. Like it was legitimately a bad game to watch. Like the Syracuse game sucked to watch. I didn't even have money on it. And I guess two things too with the timing. You want to say trying to prepare for a tough zone like this, you do get a full ass week to get ready for this. You can actually practice, you can work on some things rather than, in the first weekend, that second game is such a quick turnaround. You get like 1.5 practices to get ready for that. And then in the same light, when you do get a full week of build up and the media, and now there's fewer games, so it's even more hyper focused. Like that's all that people have been talking about. Oh my God, Buddy Buckets, and oh my God, the Syracuse zone. Oh, did you see how badly this team played against him? So there does get to be that media narrative that kind of pumps up the one team, and at the same time, the other team gets all this extra time to prepare for a team that's not that great. They're it's a decent ACC team, but it's certainly not a top end team and Houston, if they don't play like shit, which they did versus, I mean, who was that? Rutgers? Yeah. I mean,
Rutgers defense is very good. So I don't
95. Yeah. No, don't dig on them. Like I had them advancing over Clemson in most like they were a good team. It's just that Houston played like dog shit for like 95% of the game, and like, oh my God, we need to win. Whoa. We should do the thing where we're good again.
Yeah, exactly. And that was going to be the narrative because Houston in my model and Ken Palm, they're sitting at 4th, right? I had them like 6th or 5th or something going into the tournament, and a lot of people, including a lot of smart people, were like, this team, when I watch them, isn't very good. Like, they're just winning games and blowing out bad teams, which is, I would argue, is a skill. But that was the argument against them, was like, this is another Gonzaga from 10 years ago type situation. And I trust the numbers, right? I tend to disagree in that situation. And then they're losing to Rutgers, and it's like, oh shit, what do we do here? Maybe everyone was right. And then they looked good for 2 minutes of that game and still won it. So, that's a good takeaway, is like, they played like absolute garbage for 38 minutes and won the game against a quality team. I think that's the takeaway that it kind of, I'm biased towards myself, so I'll use that as my takeaway in that game.
So maybe to take a step back at a bigger level, are we still destined for a Gonzaga Baylor final? What can you see sort of upsetting that apple cart?
Loyola Chicago. I mean, I said this when the tournament started. They're 9th in Ken Palm. I think they're like 10th in mine. Hold on, I can give you that number actually. 11th in mine. They were an 8 seed. I mean, it's ridiculous. Ninth. The smart people were saying they're a top 10 team and got an 8 seed. It screwed over Illinois. That was a great matchup for Loyola, even beyond like just base, team stat numbers. The matchup there was great for them. They have a great perimeter defense. They play incredible team defense on high ball screens against Ayo Dosunmu. And they were just kind of, at the end of that game, they were kind of just letting Kofi do whatever and sending the free throw line. And the 50% free throw shooter went like 6 of 7 or 7 of 8 down the stretch. And it was like, that game should have even and could have been further apart. So I think Loyola Chicago, I think Baylor and Gonzaga, obviously the best teams on that side. They're 1-2 in Ken Palm. They're 1-3 in mine. Michigan is still in, but they kind of have a tough one here against Alabama. No Isaiah Livers for them is going to, they're going to have to make a lot of shots. And we have definitely seen, and I didn't think we would, but we have definitely seen a large reduction in Michigan's offense, in my opinion. But they're still really good. I mean, they're like 7 deep with just incredible athletes. So I do think that I'm putting them pretty squarely behind Gonzaga at this point. Gonzaga's road is much easier. I think it's pretty clear to me, given any crazy sort of upset, that especially with the Iowa loss, which maybe was the best chance to score with Gonzaga, they're going to end up in that side. I did play some Alabama Final Four. I did play some Alabama futures. I would like to see Alabama win and beat Gonzaga here, but it's a tough road winning those two games for anybody. So Loyola Chicago on that side, they're similar to Illinois. They're a good matchup for Baylor, man. Like, they have the big man who's, I don't know if you guys watched him, but he's so goofy. This Cartwright guy, he's so goofy and like awkwardly, uses his left hand really well and is one of the, he might be the best passing big man in the country. Like, it's so impressive. And he doesn't have like this crazy skill set, but he can defend guys like Coburn and he can stretch out and defend other guys. So against Vital, I think, he has, a puncher's chance in that matchup, and that's a big piece for Baylor. So Loyola Chicago, just their defense is so good. They have every piece. This reminds me of the Virginia team that won. They play incredible help defense, and they have shooters all over the floor and a good passing big man. And that's, a really good recipe to winning a lot of basketball games.
And we joked about that a little because a big, talking heads hot take before the tournament was that, oh man, like this Loyola team is better than this. They kind of got screwed having to play a 1 seed right away. It's like, no, Illinois got screwed by not getting to play an 8 seed, like a legitimate 8 seed. Like, you're supposed to have 2 teams, obviously a team that you should just fucking, ruin in the first game, beat by 40. And then you're supposed to have an 8 seed that you're supposed to be a double-digit favorite over. And instead you get a team that probably should have been on like the 3 line.
I would have favored them.
So it was really tough. That actually sucked for Illinois out of anybody.
I would have favored them against Ohio State, and I would have favored them against Iowa. So, the 2 seeds that I would have made small favorites against Loyola were Alabama and Houston. So that pretty much kind of tells you the deal there. I mean, Kansas was a 3. Like, what the hell's going on here? Like, they would be, multiple point favorites against Kansas. They certainly wouldn't be worse than Pick'em, in my opinion. I liked Arkansas. I thought, they were seated properly, so that one was fine. But it was crazy to me to see Loyola at 8. I was shocked that they weren't. Give me 4 or 5 because of the conference or whatever, but.
Yeah. No, and like the resume sucked, I guess, but it's still like the advanced metrics is like, this is a really good team. This is a team that's done it before. Krutwig's so good. And I guess back to Noops's Gonzaga question there too. And people have made a case for this, and I've started to trick myself in my head a little because I've watched both USC games, and it's like they are the longest GD team in the world, like NBA long. Everybody's got so much size, and they're so big and athletic. It's like, this is a really tough team to beat. And am I just worried because like USC has not played somebody with like legitimate 3-4 shooters like Gonzaga? I think USC wins. First off, I think they win that game. And then, do they give Gonzaga some trouble with all that size? And I mean, it's just a really good team. And also, fun fact, their coach has never lost a game against the spread in the tournament now. He is 9-0 against the spread with
I think they're taking money, right?
and Florida Gulf Coast. Yeah.
I think they're taking money. I made them about a 3-point favorite in this game. My issue I was really high on USC about halfway through the season. And then they just started laying eggs, and they kind of limped into the tournament a little bit. So I kind of fell off of them some, but I agree. The length, I think, obviously is going to cause problems for anybody. I just have seen this team go really cold on offense. And you saw in the last game against Kansas when they're playing well, defensively and offensively, what can happen. But this is what makes the tournament crazy is like we saw a team like Oregon State, who I don't think is very good, got crazy hot running into the tournament shooting wise, and just have kept that going. And we've mentioned Syracuse too, but Oregon State's another one to where Oklahoma State was, they came in the tournament really hot, but coming into that, the priors on them weren't great, right? So it's not that surprising to see them lose, other than, they were completely propped up at the end of games by Cade Cunningham, rightfully so. I mean, he's the most NBA ready player in the country, but this Oregon State team, the same sort of story. I have them like in the 40s from a ranking standpoint, and they just keep shooting the lights out. And it's like, well, are they good, or are they just shooting the lights out here? I don't know. But the beauty of the tournament is that, you generally can get hot and cold throughout the tournament even. But if you just have one part of your game working, like Baylor did, or like Houston did in the last game, where they were really stout defensively against a bad offense, you can find a way to get through.
I'm Bowdy. All right. Well, I don't know. I've run out of questions.
I liked hearing that you're at Alabama. So I have an Alabama future. I've got a Houston future that I'm trying to figure out what to do with. I think you have an Oregon.
I forgot how many futures you had.
That's probably those. I know. I got a bunch.
It's
Our
funny
buddy Dwayne likes to send me stuff like
it's the same guy from yesterday.
Injury stuff and things. Yeah.
The guy that I posted. The guy that I posted the golf picks that I said, I agree with Dwayne on everything. I'm just playing the same thing as him, just at better numbers. Same guy. He plays so many college futures. He always gets good prices on them. It's just so hard to get one of these all the way through. Again, I'm solo Andy. I'm Gonzaga only. That's all I have is a 10-1 on them. I do have a little piece of Arkansas to make the Final Four. So it wouldn't hurt me to see them get through here. I guess just to touch on, and I know we got to cut you loose here because you got a thing to do at noon. But final question, and I'm going full screen, Frank, on this because I wrote the article. I mean, you understand the math. You're a smart kid. We, with the sponsor, we have the free bet, the risk-free bet, and I'm trying to explain to people about expected value. And basically, if you have a free bet, you should bet it on the biggest goddamn underdog there is in the world. And, a lot of people can't get completely behind putting something on like 100-1, understanding expected value, just because they're not the kind of people that are just constantly collecting accounts. They're not going to have 100 free shots at this to finally get one through and find their expected value. So I said, like, hey, maybe the happy medium is still not betting a favorite. Like, find an underdog that you like. Try to get a little more expected value by playing a dog price just because it is a risk-free bet. So you have to give me one of, and truthfully, there's only 6 underdogs really, because the the Florida State Michigan game is pretty closely lined. Like Florida State's like plus 120, and then there's one that's pretty much a pick 'em. And so there's really only 6 decent underdogs. So give me one. If you had to bet one with your risk free, with a free bet right now, who is your watch this? Oh, this is the wrong one. Here we go. I'm going full screen Frank. Who's your underdog you'd bet out of those 6 if you had to?
Oh man, you really are putting on me on the spot here. It's not going to be Oregon State.
I didn't prepare you for this.
It's definitely not going to be Syracuse. The problem is I like so many of these favorites.
That's the thing. I'm stuck on that as well.
I'm going to get a little bit crazy here just because I watched this last game pretty closely, intently with Villanova, plus 244. They're worse than Baylor. I'm not going to make an argument for them there. I think this line is pretty accurate, but they shot the ball so well in these first 2 games that it just reminds me of the fact that, they might have the best coach in the tournament, and they've done this so many times and made runs, whether they're, a number 1 seed or a number 4 seed or number 5 seed or whatever it is. So if you're twisting my arm here, plus, what is it, 270s out there on Villanova. I think that's a little bit high given their situation. And I think Baylor is vulnerable at times, very solid team, but they're going to be massively outcoached in this game.
I dig it. So the lead pipe, stone cold, lock of the century, Villanova. All right, Frank, I'll let you go. Thanks a lot, man. You can check Frank out over at elitesportsbetting.com and all over Twitter as an athlete. Thanks a lot, bud. Oh, he left on his own. Good for him. So, all right. Like we said, as always, picks. We have stuff for betting. 1, 2, 3, 4. What was that? Is that the neighbors?
No, that's the dog.
It's crazy dog.
All
right.
Has to take steroids for his ears, so he has to go out quite a bit. But he makes
Sixers
anyway.
Not playing tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 76ers. But you do have some NBA picks. We'll rifle through some picks here quick before we let you go for the weekend, guys, huh?
Yeah, huge slate tonight in the association. 3 looks that I like quite a bit here. Minnesota minus 3.5. It's kind of a hold your nose play here. We're just going to be fading the Houston Rockets. I'm just going to keep betting against the Houston Rockets, especially at small numbers like this, until either the numbers get bigger or the Houston Rockets show me that they seem to care about playing basketball. Basically, I've traded away everybody but John Wall and Christian Wood. It's just an absolute mess of a team. They really don't seem focused on winning in any way, shape, or form. So Minnesota, really anybody minus 3.5, honestly, against Houston at this point, especially Minnesota being at home. We'll lay the 3.5 there. Cleveland plus 4. This is one that I did bet, but I'm keeping an eye on. Based on the price, based on the way that Cleveland has taken money, it leads me to believe that Colin Sexton's hamstring is okay and he's going to play tonight. If you do bet this, pay attention, and if he's out, quickly try to grab up some Lakers, because I think the line will move, and I think if you are able to grab the 4, this will probably close hopefully around 3, maybe a little less than that, so you might get a chance with the late announcement to get like a 1-point middle or so keep an eye on that. But everything that I'm reading, that I'm seeing in the market, leads me to believe Sexton is playing. Again, nothing's been announced, but the way people are betting it, I have to think that he's in.
It's not like they missed him the other day either, it felt like, oh shit. Kind of a goofy team for me.
Yeah, they're fun. I'm grabbing the points. And again, part of this is, I'm waiting for Lakers prices to, kind of reach an appropriate level here. I think that, again, if Sexton is playing, this is like basically Lakers -1, maybe. It might even just be a pick 'em. So happy to grab Cleveland here plus the 4 points.
I gotcha. How did we settle on a team total? You like Boston as a fade, but you didn't like the spread, or what are we doing here?
It was, I like the under. I think that in this Boston-Milwaukee game, a lot of things that I was looking at in terms of my projections and numbers were pointing me towards an under. It's tough to bet unders in Milwaukee games. They tend to be an over team. They can get really hot and put up a big number. So started to take a look at the Boston team total. And if you start to look at the roster based on some of the trades that they made, they're going to be very shorthanded tonight. I think that what you're going to see here essentially is some of the starters are going to play longer minutes. I expect the pace to be down, given that Brad Stevens knows they're going to have to play longer minutes. And I think he's going to want less possessions, less opportunities for Milwaukee to get out and run quite a bit. But yeah, Tristan Thompson's out, Semi Ojeley's out, Fournier's won't be ready in time, Mo Wagner won't be ready in time. It's going to be a pretty short bench here. for the Boston Celtics. So I think that they're going to try to slow the pace. And instead of getting involved in a full game total and leaving myself some exposure to Milwaukee, putting up a big number, I'll just grab the Boston team total under 114.
I like it. I didn't get too involved in golf today. It started early. I had things to do, but I do have one. This is kind of a smaller look for me. Andy Sullivan. He looks kind of like, he's got a beard, smiley, nice guy. Jason Day kind of playing like garbage. Jason Day not even getting saved with his putting here. Both of these men are eliminated from advancing from their pod. Today is nut cutting day. There will be some very fun, matches that determine who moves on in their pods and goes into the group or into the knockout play of the weekend. I'm looking pretty good on Sergio and Mr. Dustin Johnson, as they both should get out of their group if things go right. Sergio hasn't lost yet. So this is one where both men are drawing dead, but I think Sullivan, just being a younger guy, probably plays a little, I don't think he's just going to punt this. Like, Jason Day's been around. I don't think he's probably very excited to be here. And he's playing like garbage. He was dead last in round one in approach. He's like bottom 3 tee to green for the entire tournament right now. He's not playing well. He probably shouldn't be a favorite over most anybody. And I mean, Sullivan is playing half decent. He's had some tougher matchups. So Sullivan right now is losing most of his strokes on the putting surface. If he can pick up even 1 or 2 putting, just like let your approach game handle this. You should be able to beat Jason Day, or at least have this. So Sullivan over Day plus 135. I think this is just a little mispriced, and I just don't like Jason Day.
No.
And this one, a couple hours from now. This doesn't start for a couple hours. I made this slide, Noopsy, and it says WTA Miami Friday. That little foreshadow. It might be a little foreshadowing.
That's right. We'll see if maybe we got something for Saturday. But for now, let's focus on what we have today. We're going to start with an overstack here. Annette Kontaveit is playing Sorona Cirstea. Was able to get a 20 here. As I'm taking a look at it right now, there's still a 20. 20 and a half is okay. If you can get a 21 at plus money, that's probably fine too. These are two big hitters, strong servers. I think that we're definitely, again, as I say a lot of times here when I'm breaking these down, there's going to be a 7-6, 7-5, if not a 7-6 in one of these first 2 sets. I would hang this 21, very juicy, even 21 and a half. I was really surprised that we were able to get 20. That's just a really nice number. And over 2.5 sets at plus 180. Again, if the over 20 is off, usually the correlation to the 2.5 sets looks nice as well. These two women have played a 3-setter, I believe, either this year or late last year. Again, should be a very competitive match. I think we'll see 2 long sets, hopefully 3. So full unit there on the over 20 and a half unit on the over 2.5 sets at plus 180.
And I want to address this quick before we move on to, I foreshadowed there'd be Saturday, but the group is messed up. I didn't even look at, I haven't looked at updated group prices, but there are some goofy groups where not everyone, not every group has men who are eliminated. Like, everyone in the group has kind of done shitty, and just, there's been a draw. There is a chance that there could be some a 3-way playoff. So I'll have to take a look at that. I kind of want to look at outright prices now. I'm going to dig into that. I know some people found some funny outright prices. Either way, I don't think Jason Day should be favored in this, but not drawing dead is even better. I'm not sure how I feel about Jason Day not drawing dead, but we'll see how that goes. So thanks for the update. I'm going to dig in. Yeah, we did a little math in some chats this morning regarding Bryson's chances. Some books had some funny prices on that as well. So something to look at with all the rules. They will, if there are ties, they'll just have sudden death playoff holes. So like I said, somebody could play 7 rounds of golf this weekend. Somebody could play extra on top of that, really, if they end up in some of these playoff holes here too. So it could get squirrely this afternoon. That'll be fun.
Well, you missed one. You got to go back. We didn't do Sam Sonova yet.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were through that.
You cut me off to babble about golf or some nonsense.
Yeah,
that's all right.
That.
I forgive you. Ludmila Samsonova, going to lay a couple spreads here. She's playing Kiki Bertens. Now, Kiki Bertens has as many WTA main draw matches as, 2 more main draw WTA matches as Andy and I, and she has as many wins as Andy and I do on the WTA tour this year. Again, she's played 2 matches. She lost the first one 6-0, 6-2. The second one 6-1, 6-4. Is just in tremendously poor form. Hasn't played at all since coming really to Miami. Generally does poor in this tournament. So happy to Ludmila Samsonova, who worked her way through qualifying here. And instead of playing the money line or putting her in a parlay, I actually thought there was some value in some of these spreads. -3 you should find at standard juice at the worst. You might even be able to find that at a small plus number. If you look also, we're going to take an alternate spread here at -5.5, and that should be right in the range of +240. So a full unit at -3 and a half unit at -5.5 on Miss Samsonova against Kiki Bertens as she continues to struggle her way through the season.
All right, now on to Saturday bonus picks. Don't usually do this, although we did. We gave out some college basketball for the weekend. So Saturday, these lines are up already.
It is. It's nice because it's a bigger tournament. They're kind of playing.
That's true.
Players are getting a day off, so we get some of these look-ahead lines, which is nice. And really like this total here. Ekaterina Alexandrova is playing Alina Svitolina. They hung a 21. I would have hung a juicy 21.5, maybe even a rare 22 in the WTA. These two played very long matches. Again, I'm going to play yes on a tiebreaker here. If you have that market, which you do if you have access to a regulated Canby book, take a look for that. It'll actually be over 0.5 tiebreakers, but I'll be playing that here as well. But for everybody else, the total over 21, I think that's a great number. And then over 2.5 sets, +150. I make this +140, maybe +142 if I'm being perfectly honest. So playing a little less of an edge than I normally would, just given kind of the history here between these players and Svitolina and Alexandrova's, love basically for playing 3-setters. It's pretty wild here. So full unit on the 21, half unit on the 2.5 sets.
I love it. Let's go weekend. I'm not buying whiskey tonight because I am going to spend so much money on this freaking crab boil. I don't have a propane tank. That's like $50. Seafood's expensive. My wife's already mad because she realizes I'm going to go spend $200 to boil food and throw on a picnic table this weekend. So I'll just drink the whiskey I have. So no whiskey post this weekend, but
I'll feel better when she's got the crabs and the butter going.
Yeah. I always feel better when she has crabs. So we will head to the weekend, hopefully with some winners. Thanks for joining us. Jeff Boyardee, thanks for setting me straight. I read the 0-2 wrong. He has 2 ties. I read it as losses. So Sullivan live, J-Day dead. Even better. I think I like it even better. This is our Friday super episode brought to you by WinBet, powered by BetSperts. I'm Andy. He's Alex. And we'll catch you Monday.